period. It's the 14th day of the month. In the late afternoon, we're going to sacrifice the Passover lambs. And at sunset, it's going to begin the 15th, and we'll eat the Passover, as we will tomorrow night, with unleavened bread. Now, when did the harvest of the barley take place? Where did all this rehearsal happen? It's impossible to do it now, because now what we have on the 14th day of the month, on the 14th day, the Passover lamb is sacrificed tomorrow afternoon. Then the priest will go over and just shock together 10 standing shocks of barley. And then when the sun sets, it's the high Sabbath. See, now are we going to harvest, winnow, parch, grind, bake into loaves all night long? We're supposed to be eating the Passover lamb. It's going to happen all night long. We're not going to be working all night long for something that can transpire at the end of that week after the weekly Sabbath. Now, some would say, well, aren't we supposed to, during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, aren't we, we're not supposed to eat leaven with it? Well, let's look at it. Let's say that it happens the next week, okay? At the end of this period of time, the seventh day is also going to be Sunday, correct? Excuse me, it's going to be Shabat. And so at the end of Shabat, we now cut the barley, and we process it through the night and present it the next morning. Where did leaven all of a sudden come into the picture? We haven't had leaven in the land for 7 days. Leaven doesn't just magically appear at sunset at the end of the Sabbath. You've got to have time to let leaven be leaven. It takes a couple of days. So at the end of this period of time, after the weekly Sabbath, everything can fit. They can bind together the standing shocks of barley because they're still standing. They're not going anywhere. They're still growing. They're fine. And then after the weekly Sabbath, during the feast, when the sun sets, now we can work and we can do this.